Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. This morning we're taking it from Canto 3, Chapter 2, and this morning we're doing text number 29. And we're very fortunate to have His Grace Jiva Tattva Prabhu from ISKCON DC to give a class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Precious Prabhu, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share such wonderful subject matter and such a wonderful verse today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja
Bihari,
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha
Prabhu, I know I can't hear from my end here, so I don't know what's going on.
Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Please join us for the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet. Shrawatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भक्ति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Verse 29. This is where Uddhav is responding to Vidur's inquiry and remembering Krishna. Hare Krishna. So please join us for the invocation of this prayer. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.29. Sa eva go-dhanaṁ lakṣmyā niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Sa eva go-dhanaṁ lakṣmyā niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Sa eva go-dhanaṁ lakṣmyā niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Hare Krishna.
Saiva go-dhanaṁ lakṣmyā niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Hare Krishna.
स एव गोधनं लक्ष्म्या niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Sa eva go-dhanaṁ lakṣmyā niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sa eva go-dhanaṁ lakṣmyā niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please join us for word synonyms. Saha, he, Lord Krishna. Eva, certainly. Go-dhanaṁ, the treasure of cows. Lakṣmyā, by opulence. Niketaṁ, reservoir. Sita-go-vṛṣam, beautiful cows and bulls. Cārayann, herding. Anugān, the followers. Gopān, cowherd boys. Raṇad, blowing. Veṇur, flute. Arīramat, enlivened. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So please repeat after me for the translation, very important one. While herding these very beautiful bulls, the Lord, who was the reservoir of all opulence and fortune,
Who was the reservoir of all opulence and fortune,
used to blow his flute, and thus he enlivened his faithful followers, the cowherd boys. Hare Krishna. Purport. As he grew to 6 or 7 years old, the Lord was given charge of looking after the cows and bulls in the grazing grounds. He was the son of a well-to-do landholder who owned hundreds and thousands of cows. And according to Vedic economics, one is considered to be a rich man by the strength of his store of grains and cows. With only these two things, cows and grains, humanity can solve its eating problem. Human society needs only sufficient grain and sufficient cows to solve its economic problems. All other things but these two are artificial necessities created by man to kill his valuable life at the human level and waste his time in things which are not needed. Lord Krishna, as the teacher of human society, personally showed by his acts that the mercantile community or the Vaishyas should herd cows and bulls and thus give protection to the valuable animals. According to Smriti regulation, the cow is the mother and the bull the father of the human being. The cow is the mother because just as one sucks the breast of one's mother, human society takes cow's milk. Similarly, the bull is the father of human society because the father earns for the children just as the bull tills the ground to produce food grains. Human society will kill its spirit of life by killing the father and the mother. It is mentioned herein that the beautiful cows and bulls were of various checkered colors, red, black, green, yellow, ash, etc. And because of their colors and healthy smiling features, the atmosphere was enlivening. Over and above all, the Lord used to play his celebrated flute. The sound vibrated by his flute would give his friends such transcendental pleasure that they would forget all the talks of Brahmananda, which is so praised by the impersonalist. These cowherd boys, as will be explained by Shukdev Goswami, were living entities who had accumulated heaps of pious acts and thus were enjoying with the Lord in person and were hearing his transcendental flute. The Brahma Samhita 5.30 confirms the Lord's blowing his transcendental flute. Vedum kvanantam arvinda dalaya taksham barhavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Brahmaji said, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who plays on his transcendental flute. His eyes are like lotus flowers. He is decorated with peacock plumes, and his bodily color resembles a fresh black cloud. Although his bodily features are more beautiful than millions of cupids, these are the special features of the Lord. Hare Krishna, please join us for Prabhupada Pranati. We'll do it together. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaunavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, in this verse, Uddhav is revealing something amazing. Krishna's simple solution to a complicated civilization. This verse very much applies to us. To save human life from artificial necessities so it can return to its real necessity. And what is that? Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So there is something extraordinary about this verse. Uddhav is remembering Krishna. So chapter 1 was all about questions by Vidur, and chapter 2 is all about remembrance of Krishna by by Uddhav, and how Vidur is experiencing that ecstatic emotion Uddhav is showing. So he's not sitting in an economic seminar. I'm referring to Uddhav. And he's also not describing taxation, monetary policy, GDP, supply chains, or industrial productivity. He's not referring to all those things. He has tears of separation from Krishna. So who's in the center? Lord Krishna. And earlier in this chapter, Vidur had asked about Krishna and Krishna's associates, and Uddhav became so overwhelmed that for some time he could not even speak. Then gradually remembrance follows. And as it flows, so flow the emotions. So one memory after another appears before his heart, as we are seeing, as how he is talking about like Lord Krishna in fear of Kamsa, was transferred to Vrindavan, and that pains him, as how he left Mathura to go to Dwarka in fear of Jarasandha, that pains him. So he's talking about Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is all powerful, and he is showing as if he's scared or he's fearful. And suddenly Uddhav remembers a scene that looks almost too simple. What does he see? A young boy, some cows and bulls, some cowherd boys and a flute, green pastures and complete bliss, happiness. And that's what we look for. Anand bhaya abhyasat. We are all seeking happiness. Yet Srila Prabhupada sees inside this apparently simple Vrindavan scene an entire philosophy of civilization that he's revealing in his purport. Perhaps our civilization has become very good at solving problems that were first created by creating things we never really needed. So that's the beginning. So many things that we see sometimes have been created, but there was no need for it. We invented devices to save time. Clock, okay, just to check. But then came so many other devices to save time. And then we started working long hours to afford these devices that save time. Right? These are not cheap devices. These are very costly devices. And then we needed apps to organize the devices. And then we need passwords to protect the apps. As you can see, things are building on top of each other. And then we need password managers to protect the passwords. And now we need to get the subscription for the password managers. So we need to again work hard to earn more. And finally, the meditation apps, because we have become so stressed and managing everything that was supposed to save us time. So Srila Prabhupada, he asked a devastatingly simple question. And what's that question? What happened to human life? What happened to the purpose of human life? So in this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 3-29, that he's presenting, so Krishna's alternative, not poverty, not primitiveness, not irresponsibility, but simplicity with spiritual purpose. My dear devotees, I would like to present this in a form of a solve roadmap, SOLVE. So let's look at what S stands for. S is for simplifying necessities. We need to simplify our necessities. We should ask this question, how much do I actually need? And O is to redefine opulence. So opulence redefined. What does real wealth mean? Because in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada said wealth in the Vedic times was measured by how many cows, that would give milk to sustain the human beings, and how much grain one had. And as we know that Nand Maharaj himself just had 900,000 cows. As we know, when Mother Yashoda wanted to make the shoe for Krishna, he said, well, if you make shoe for me, that means you have to make shoe for all those cows also. And 900,000 means 3,600,000 shoes. So Mother Yashoda gave up looking at this argument by Kanha. And we have to look at what does L really stands for. What's the value it's bringing? L is for land, the cows, the bulls and grains, right? What does really sustain our civilization naturally, not unnaturally, artificially? When many of the items that we see within the vegetable aisle would not exist if it was not for the human beings, because they are so artificially created and they are so harmful for the human civilization. So finally comes V, that we have to value human line, right? Human life, human time. And we have to ask this question of ourselves. What is my life being spent for? Where am I spending my time? Because this human birth, it's very rare. And finally, E. So where do we really deliver value? E is to engage everything for Krishna. Is simplicity itself the goal? No. Krishna is the goal. So the crucial point will be this last one. E is to identify where we are engaged. Because Vaishnava philosophy is not about merely minimalism, that you reduce everything, you reduce the bodily needs and so forth. The goal is not simply owning less. The goal is remembering Krishna more. So sometimes people misunderstand the direction. So in this verse, sita-go-vṛṣam lakṣmyā, niketaṁ sita-go-vṛṣam, cārayann anugān gopān raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Let's look at this beautiful translation where, while herding the very beautiful bulls, Sita refers to beauty, beautiful bulls. The Lord, who is the reservoir of all opulence and fortune, he is the husband of the goddess of fortune. He used to blow his flute and thus enliven his faithful followers, the cowherd boys. So let's look at the heart of Srila Prabhupada's purport, where he is making an extraordinary statement. Human society needs only sufficient grain and sufficient cows to give milk to solve its economic problems. So all economic problems can just be addressed by having bulls to till the land so that we can get some grains, and the cows to get the milk so that we can sustain ourselves. Srila Prabhupada, if you pay attention, if you notice, he did not say, he does not say human beings need nothing, right? Srila Prabhupada does not glorify starvation. He is not saying organization, trade, transportation, machine and technology can never be used. His concern is artificial necessities that have been created are becoming the purpose of civilization. People are getting too oriented around these artificial necessities that are being built. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is revealing that Krishna himself as a teacher of human society is demonstrating that the civilization is in which essential prosperity rests upon cows, bulls, land and grains. That is the essential aspect. Cows, they produce milk. Bulls, they till the land as traditionally, providing the architecture power for cultivating land, and grain gets produced, which is the basic food upon which the society currently rests. So when we look from that perspective, things tend to change. There is some transformation. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself reveals, Krishi go-dhanaṁ vanijam Vaishya karma swabhavajam. So what is the duty of Vaishyas? And why are we directly just referring to the Vaishyas? Is it because we are talking of this capitalist world, the Kali Yuga, where the capitalists are driving it? No. Well, Chaturvarnam Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Let's look at this very clean distinction. That Lord Krishna is saying that Chaturvarna, all four Varnas have been created by him. So Brahmanas are there as the philosophers, as the spiritual masters of human society to guide us in the right direction. Then Kshatriyas are the administrators. And Vaishyas are the mercantile men. And they have specific activities. Just every Varna has a specific activity. Just like Brahmana, Shamodamash Tapah Shocham Shanti Rajavam Evacham Jnanam Vistakam Astikams Brahma Karma Swabhavacham. So the 8 kind of duties. Similarly, the Vaishyas, they have to take care of Rishi go-dhanaṁ vanijyam, Vaishya karma swabhavajam. So again, the cultivation of land, agriculture, go-raksha, and then of course the trade. These are the natural farming, cow protection, business are natural work for a Vaishya, for a mercantile persons. And there is a higher ecological principle that has been revealed in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Annad bhavanti bhutani pajanyadanna sambhava. So, all living as entities, they sustain on what? Food grains. So, the human society, the economics that we see guiding us, it does not begin with speculation. It begins with anna, grains. Grains are the sustainable food, grains and milk. And that means to grow grains, we need land. And annad bhavanti bhutani. So again, the rains that fall cause the potency in the land to sprout in the form of grains. So we need grains, we need cows, we need work, to till the land, we need the bulls, and we need yajna. Again, afterwards, everything culminates to one. And all is because we are grateful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for providing all this, and to focus on expressing our gratitude in service, in devotional service. So let's take a deeper dive in SOLVE. S is simplify necessities, right? Need less so that the soul has time for more. That's the key aspect. Srila Prabhupada's attack is not against necessity. It is against manufactured necessity, right? There's a huge difference when we say, I use this, versus when we say, I cannot live without this. Sometimes we see people saying they cannot live without this. So our possessions gradually become obligations. That is the tendency. Every possession has a hidden price tag beyond its purchase price. Now, what's that hidden price tag? Is it the taxes? No, I'm not talking about taxes. Is it the tariff that's been placed onto the import goods? No, that's not. It requires money, yes. But more than that, it requires maintenance. It requires storage. It requires protection. It requires attention. It requires comparison, right? New version of iPhone will come out. Now we need to look at replacement and sometimes debt, because all these changes are causing so many expenses to accumulate. So the real cost of an object is often not in dollars, it's not in rupees, it's not in yen. The real cost is pieces of our life, the time, the valuable human life, that we have received. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he anticipated this psychology in Updeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, verse 2. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpa nimagraha janasangascha lalyamcha sadbhir bhakti vinashyati. So let's focus on the first two, atyahara prayasasya, right? Bhakti becomes damaged through excessive accumulation and excessive material endearment, along with other unfavorable habits. Now notice the combination. Here, atyahara is collecting excessively, and then prayasas, to excessively endeavor so that you can collect so many things. So the more we acquire, the more we frequently have to endeavor to maintain what we have acquired. And then the possession actually possesses the processor. So Srila Prabhupada used to give a very simple example. A man was, had the cow, with a rope tied and was taking the cow. Srila Prabhupada said, who is owning who? So the devotee said, of course he owns the cows. He said, no, if you remove the rope, who will be running after who? So that the cow goes in one direction, the man will be running after the cow. So now the possession has possessed the possessor, as we can understand. And at Gita Nagari, when Srila Prabhupada was summarizing this vision beautifully, he was saying simple living. What does that mean? Human life is meant for God realization. Try to help. So he's addressing the devotees. Then, this is the innocent public. He's addressing the devotees that the devotees need to help the innocent public in realizing God, in getting Krishna consciousness. And that is the key formula. Simple living is not the destination, my dear devotees. God realization is the destination. So again, we all are seeking for that love, Krishna Prema. And that comes through the 9 processes. But the goal is Krishna Prema. Simple living removes unnecessary traffic from the road. Yes, we have been talking about the gas prices going high and so much happening around the world. And news, sometimes I was listening to a scenario where I was reading, and as I passed through, I saw some devotees listening to news. It was 10 a.m., they were listening to news. They didn't even realize that it was noontime and they were still listening to the same news. And it was really old from my perspective. And sometimes it happens to people. Now, there is a tendency of creating so many life-saving devices, right? Time-saving devices, sometimes referred to as well. So a man proudly, he told his buddy, he said, oh, I have purchased every time-saving device available. So his friend asked, wonderful. So what do you do with all the time you have saved? So this man, he thinks about it and he replies, mostly I work overtime to pay for all those time-saving devices. So his friend asked again, then when do you enjoy the saved time? And so now the man is confused. He's saying, I haven't had the time to think about that yet. Now this spiritual lesson in this scenario is very serious because the convenience that consumes the life, it was supposed to simplify our life, but has failed its purpose. And that is where the flaw of modern civilization falls in. So we have to simplify life, which means we have to go to O, which is opulence redefined. What is opulence? Go-dhanaṁ. Lord Krishna is teaching us what wealth looks like, the true wealth, the real wealth. So this verse uses an important expression. Go-dhanaṁ. Go is cows, dhanam means wealth. So what does modern civilization call wealth? Well, number in accounts. How many dollars you have in your bank accounts? How many properties do you own? What investment portfolios do you have? And what's your production capacity? What are your possessions? While Srimad Bhagavatam, especially in this verse, and the purport by Srila Prabhupada gives us a very different vision. What is it telling us? Srila Prabhupada says that in Vedic economies, a wealthy person was recognized by cows and stored grains, which of course are produced by tilling the land with the help of bulls. Why? Because wealth meant the capacity to sustain life. The cow provides nourishment to us. The bull helps produce grain. Land produces food. Grains can be stored. The family eats, the guests eat, animals eat, brahmanas eat. The community has security, and therefore the wealth was intimately tied to nourishment rather than merely monetary abstraction. And look who is demonstrating all this. Krishna himself, the possessor of unlimited Vakunthas, becomes a cowherd boy. There is a beautiful verse in Brahma Samhita 5.29 where he is showing Chintamani prakar sadma shukalpa vriksha. Tamani prakar sadma shukalpa vriksha. I'm just trying to remember.
lakṣmyā vitesu
Yes.
abhipalayantam.
Yes. Chintamani prakar sadma shukalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surbhir abhipalayantam lakṣmyā sahastra shata sambrama sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So this is describing the Goloka Vrindavan. So again, Chintamani, where the ground is filled with this touchstone. Chinta means whatever thoughts you have, not the anxiety ones, non-anxiety ones. They can grant all this. Prakara Sadvashu Kalparviksha. And the trees are Kalparviksha. They are also desire fulfilling trees. Laksha Vrateshu Surabhir Abhipalayantam. So these by millions are surrounded by who? Cows, Surbhi cows. Surbhi Abhipalayantam. Abhipalayan refers to tending the cows. So who's tending the cows? Lord Krishna himself is tending the cows. And Lakshmi, how many Lakshmis? Lakshmi is goddess of fortune. The gopis have been referred here as Lakshmis. Sahastra, thousands. Shata, hundreds. So hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis are constantly serving the Lord. Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And Lord Brahma is saying that I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Anadiradir Govinda, sarva cārayann, the cause of all causes, the first progenitor. What is he doing? He's tending the cows and yielding all desires. And that has been summed in this particular verse, that moved as how the process of unlimited Vakunthas. Vakunthas, Vai means devoid of, Kunthas means all anxieties. So Vakuntha is there is a place of no anxiety. And what's the Supreme Personality becoming? He's becoming a cowherd boy. He's the reservoir of all Lakshmis. He's walking behind the cows, and the dust is falling, raised by the hoofs. And what is he carrying? He's carrying a bugle and a flute, and he's playing on his flute. And this is perhaps one of the most profound economic images in the scriptures we can see. The richest person in existence, he chooses to appear surrounded by cows rather than commodities. And so therefore Lord Brahma, he is in the next verse, as covered in the purport, he is revealing this apparently simple cowherd boy is the supreme reality. Venum kananta arvinda dalaya taksham barhavatam samasitam buddhasuddharangam kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Brahma is saying, I pray Govinda, the primeval Lord, the original person, who's playing Venum Kvananta. He's playing on his flute. Arvinda Dalayataksham. His eyes are like the lotus petals. He's decorated with the peacock feather. Srila Prabhupada uses the word plume in the purport. And he's possessing uncomparable beauty. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Tens of millions of cupids cannot match that beauty. So Vrindavan is not poor, my dear devotees. Vrindavan is rich, very rich, just differently. That these, different way of seeing it. Chakshurunmiritam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. That's why we pray to our spiritual master that we get this vision, that way of seeing things differently through the Shastras. So Vrindavan is rich in land. Vrindavan is rich in cows. Just Krishna has 900,000 cows, means Nanda Baba had. And Krishna was tending to these cows, and other Gopa boys had their own cows. And so there is richness in relationships. There is richness in remembrance. Everyone is constantly meditating on Krishna. And especially when Uddhav is describing it, the tears are flowing from his eyes. And so there is a richness in dependence upon Krishna. Everyone is dependent upon Krishna. And above everything, rich in Krishna himself. Everyone feels that they own Krishna. The one who owns everything is owned by these cowherd boys. So sometimes there is this comparison comes where a rich person, when he goes to the village, they may ask very different kind of questions. So a billionaire just asked a simple farmer, he said, what is your retirement plan, my dear farmer? So the farmer replied very simply, I have grain, vegetables, cows, family, service, and the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So hearing this, the billionaire just laughed, like, but what happens if the stock market crashes? And the farmer looked a little puzzled. He asked, will my cows stop eating grass because the Wall Street is nervous? The billionaire suddenly realized that perhaps the farmer owned less but depended on fewer things that he could not control. So the lesson is not that the investment is sinful. The lesson is that dependence itself should be examined. Sometimes what looks sophisticated, very complicated, and building to be like very attractive. Maya has this nice way of creating a facade. Is actually extraordinarily fragile, just like we see, the stock market or even the job market coming off AI. People are just getting nervous. So what should we do? What's the solution? Well, we have to go to L, which is lands, cows, bulls, and grains for our dependence on these. And it is not that the mercantile people should just have cows, go-rākṣmyā, they have to protect cows. So we have to protect the sources of nourishment, not merely the products of consumption. Today's society is so much into consuming things, exploiting things as they are coming up. So Srila Prabhupada is making that the cow protection is inseparable from economic philosophy. My dear devotees, I just visited India for 2 weeks and I was surprised. I was really surprised that even in the best of the hotels, you cannot find genuine milk. That was shocking to me. Won't you be surprised? Means again, we were going to Taj and what they were offering was not genuine milk products. And it was very easy to test it out with few chemical reaction and you're like, oh no, what is happening? And yesterday I was hearing that Yogi Ji, one of our senior devotees from our parampara, he actually banned selling of milk, ghee, butter, and other products in UP because it is fake. It is all mixed with fake stuff. hardly 10 to 20% of it is real. So this is what the civilization has come down to. The basic necessities of life that sustain us has been exploited and duplicated into through chemicals to actually destroy human life. So, and let's not just go there. It's again in India, there's so much happening. While in the US, they have come up with this super pasteurization technique, which actually extends the shelf life of milk. But when you look at the quality of milk, it has lost its nutritional value. So those are other places. Wherever you go in the world, you will find things being done which are not favorable for human life. So Srila Prabhupada is making these corporate actions inseparable from economic philosophy because it's the basis, the foundation. He's explaining that the traditional understanding of a cow as mother, because we as humans receive her milk, and the bull as father, because bull tradition, it is the land that produces grain. So we can relate to this verse very clearly. Right? He does not merely say extract milk. He says protect the cow, go-dhanaṁ. It does not merely say use agricultural power. It says protect the bull. Right? This changes economics into ethics, into how we look at life. The question is no longer merely, oh, how much can we produce? It becomes, what kind of relationship we have with those upon whom our production depends, our sustainability depends? That is an essential aspect. So Bhagavad Gita is not merely saying go upayoga, right? Use the cow. No, it says go rakshya, protect the cows. So that one word changes the consciousness. So the Vedic consciousness, again, which helps us understand the economic unit, is therefore not merely production. It involves protection, gratitude, responsibility, and sustainability around life. Currently, if you look in India has become the major exporter of cow meat. They're slaughtering cows left and right. And they're exporting it. Why? For some economical profit? That is just it's mind-boggling. They misunderstood the whole concept. And sometimes we have to look at, okay, we are blaming others, but what are we doing about it? And sometimes we have to look at that Srila Prabhupada established so many self-sustaining environments like Gita Nagari, we have New Vrindavan village. And are we really focusing on the cows and bulls and the grains? Yes, that should be the focus. But then sometimes we see some come up with the ideas, let's do more seminars over there in this activity. And are we changing that into a hoteling unit? Sometimes we have to step back and look at it in the right perspective. These are tough questions we have to ask ourselves. So I was in the leadership sessions, during the Saturday where Gauranga Prabhu was presenting the various ideas as how ISKCON can prosper. And he was again and again bringing back to one point that Srila Prabhupada wanted us to establish Varnashram Dharma. And of Varnashram Dharma, let's pay attention. What is the most important? What's the single Varna that's producing everything? That is mercantile man, the capitalist. So they have to focus on cow protection and production of grains. Those have to be pure and sustainable and righteously done. All of the Brahmanas are scholars. They are looking at being the spiritual masters, guiding the human society. Yes, they have to encourage the human society to do their respective duties. The Kshatriyas are the administrators. They have to build up the proper way of knowledge, just like Prachetas. They meditate underwater for 10,000 years to build up that qualification so that they can be righteous administrators. If we pay attention to sustain the human life, the only Varna that's contributing is Vaishyas. And then we have Shudras who are supposed to be serving. Now, sometimes when we say Shudras, means I started my life in career as a software engineer. Came to know a little short after that actually it's a Shudra occupation. Doctors, Shudra occupation, but then they are highly regarded because of the dependency of life. But they're sustaining something that has been destroyed by the very civilization that was supposed to sustain us. So Srila Prabhupada, he also addressed this with food security and cow protection. And civilization should measure success by whether people are nourished, not merely whether markets are busy. So again, the society may be producing thousands of varieties of products, but if anxiety increases, relationship weakens, the natural world suffers, animals are exploited, like people cannot stop working, atyahara prayashas, over endure, and no one has time to inquire about the soul. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. The very inquiry, the very first inquiry, that's to focus. What is the purpose? Why are we here? Why do we have this human form? It's lost. That purpose is lost. Then Srila Prabhupada asks us whether it is actually an advancement. A devotee was visiting a farm once, and so he asked, coming from a very high-tech, college, an IT college and so forth, he says, does this cow have Wi-Fi? The farmer answered, no, of course not. The devotee asked, Bluetooth? The farmer said, no. Artificial intelligence, AI, ML, any of that? Again, the farmer said, no. Then the cow quietly ate some grass, gave milk, produced manure for the land, and went on peacefully chewing while the devotee's smartphone announced that his battery was at 2% and he was running out to charge it. So technology certainly has valuable uses. But what does this short exchange remind us? Complexity and intelligence are not the same thing. They're two very different things. God's natural system often accomplishes remarkable things, as we can see with the help of cows and bulls, sustainability, without needing our constant supervision. It just goes on as is natural. Once again, Krishna is not looking at, is it the right environment? Is the grass really green today? Or is it raining too heavily? He's going out day after day. So we have to look at the value of human time that we have. Time is the wealth we cannot earn back, right? So this is the strongest point I feel Srila Prabhupada is putting in this purport. He says artificial necessities cause human beings to waste valuable human life and time, of course, because the very pieces of human life is in the form of time. So if money is lost, it can be earned again. If the property is lost, it may be purchased again. If a career is obsolete, we can rebuild a new career. But one thing never returns. My dear devotees, that thing is yesterday. Tomorrow never comes, yesterday is gone. So human life is extraordinarily short when compared with the work we are meant to accomplish. What was that work? Chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Bhagavatam is asking us this important question. Have I understood who I am? We have to ask this. We have to meditate on this. We have to introspect it. Have I understood Krishna? Have I learned to love him? And am I prepared for death? Ante kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalivam. Can I follow this instruction faithfully? So, during a farm discussion, Srila Prabhupada was revealing that simplified life saves time and utilized for advancing Krishna consciousness. Now that is perfect life. My dear devotees, that may be an entire lecture just in that one sentence. Save time, but save it for something. Save it for chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Save it for hearing Krishna Katha. Save it for family spiritual culture. Sitting together, having six loving exchanges. Save it for deity worship. Save it for studying the Shastras. Save it for service to the deities as well as service to the Vaishnavas who are all around us. Even prasadam is service, right? Prasadam seva. And of course, sadhu sangha, association of devotees, which is so rare. And all this should be around remembering Krishna, being grateful for all we have received from Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings a very beautiful song where he says, Jada vidya jato mayara vaibhava tomara bhajane badha. Right? So Srila Prabhupada also repeatedly cited these words to help us understand that this material knowledge, right, and the advancement because of the technology, it becomes spiritually dangerous. Why? Because it expands forgetfulness of Krishna and becomes an obstacle to bhajan. It's keeping our attention somewhere else in Maya. It's not that Maya is bad. Maya is just a referee. She's just carrying out her duty. We are getting distracted. We are the ones who are acting unrighteously, deviation, right? So this needs qualification that we have to say. So again, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not condemning useful knowledge simply because it's material knowledge. No, that's not the aspect. We have to make a very conscious distinction instead of just taking the words as it is. The word for our application here is, he is saying badha. Badha means obstacle. So anything that becomes an obstacle in our service to Krishna should be avoided, right? Does this knowledge help service? Wonderful. Does this career support Dhamma? Wonderful, right? Does the technology help us distribute Krishna consciousness? Use it. Does money serve Krishna? Use it, because we can print books and so forth. And similarly, we have to come to finally E, like engage everything for Krishna. The answer is not rejection. The answer is relationship. Our relationship should enhance with Krishna, which of course gets enhanced when we have relationship enhanced with each other. And let's not forget the relationship with the cows and the bulls. When we went to New Vrindavan, they have a cow shed area, and Ananupa Devi and me, we approached these young cows, and they were so full of love. And we were talking about, wait a minute, there is a whole civilization initiative been driven by, Annamai Mata. I mean, all she does is hugs. And these young cows could give thousands of times more hugs that will satisfy us than, somebody just carrying out 10,000s of hugs every day so as to raise funds and build various facilities. And yes, they are still doing something spiritually good, but they are missing out the foundation. It's like you go to an architect and says, "Oh yes, I would like you to build a 100-story building and build a beautiful penthouse on top, on the 100th floor." The architect says, "Yes, sure," and he comes up with his plan. He tells you, and then the builder comes and they come up with the budget, and they say, "You know what? 20% of the funds will be there in the foundation." And we'll try to see if we can apply 10%, and remaining 70% will be from, ground floor all the way to the 99th floor. And if you come and say, no, I don't want you to build anything like that. I just want you to build the 100th floor first. Really? Without the foundation, can you build anything sustainable? No, you cannot. And that is the key aspect, my dear devotees, that we have to understand that go-raksha. Again, cows and the bulls, they are the foundation. If you don't protect them, if you don't take care of them, that will cause things bad. It's not that, we don't want to get drifted. Suppose somebody hears today's class and says, "Oh, conclusion is cows are bad, computers are bad, cities are bad, money is bad, technology is bad." That's not what we are saying, right? That would not be an accurate representation of Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. So the balancing principle is Srila Rupa Goswami's principle, as is revealing in Bhakti Rasamrita. Anasakte se vishyan yatharam upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagyam uchyate. Things should be used appropriately without attachment when connected with Krishna. This is yukta vairagya. This is proper engagement, right? And Srila Prabhupada has made this extremely practical. He said that there is a motor car available for preaching, use it. Material advancements need not be rejected, right? But Krishna must not be forgotten because of these material advancements. The problem is not the microphone. Krishna Katha can come through the microphone. The problem is not the airplane. A preacher can travel by airplane. The problem is not the money, because we can print Bhagavad Gitas and Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and distribute it so easily. It was not easily available when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here, but thanks to the technology, and it's not the problem. The technology can help us distribute Harikatha worldwide. And the question is, who is serving whom? Am I using the facility, or the facility consuming my consciousness? That is the test, my dear devotees. Hari seva yatha yaha anukula vishaya baliya tahara tyage haya bhula. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami would help us understand, again, following Rupa Goswami's principle, that which is favorable for Hari's service. Lord Krishna's devotional service should not be rejected just because it appears to be material. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, don't forget Krishna simply for the matter of material advancement. That is the balance we need to achieve, right? Not consumerism, not artificial renunciation, yukta vairagya. And why is there flute appearing in this verse? That is the beautiful, most beautiful aspect I say is raṇad-veṇur arīramat. Krishna played his flute and enlivened his followers, the cowherd boys. And so the final purpose of Vedic economy is not merely producing enough grain to sustain ourselves, it's creating sufficient freedom from unnecessary struggle so that we humans in consciousness can become enlivened by Krishna. Hare Krishna. So as we covered today, in the form of a solve roadmap, we have to look things in proper perspective, not just go and say, oh, this is bad or that is good. Rather, we have to look at the context as how we're looking at different things, as is to simplify our necessities so that we have a clear understanding of what is opulence defined, L for land, cows, bulls, and grains, and so that we can value human time, human life, that's the V. And finally, E is to engage everything in Krishna's service. Hare Krishna, Parikshit Prabhu, back to you. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hi. Thank you very much for a wonderful lecture, wonderful analysis of what the problems are now and what we really need to do. Srila Prabhupada says we should simplify our lives, and he's given the details for it. And thank you for breaking it down even more, and especially the things you talked about involving the milk and all the contamination that they've done just to raise more money. Money, rather than our own health and the health of the planet.
Yes.
So, dear devotees, thank you very much for. Dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself. If you have any questions, you have any comments, please do that. Unmute yourself and go for it as you feel comfortable doing. And I know there are people who are already giving me electronic thank yous for the lecture. That's there. But are there any questions, dear devotees? Well, I'd like to express appreciation for the way you use regular words and make it an acronym and use the letters, each one of them, to I know Mataji, your wife, or sometimes does that also. I practice every time she does that also. It's a nice way of preaching, because then we remember today is solved, and we go to the SO and the L and the V and the E and so on. Wonderful way of preaching. Thank you for doing that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks to the devotees. We learned it from the devotees by watching their lectures. And nice media, yeah.
There were other devotees doing that also?
Again, there are many devotees, they use acronyms so that people can remember. And today focus was solved, so I created this acronym.
Yeah.
It's on how to solve the issues that we have in human life.
Yeah.
So
then the individual letters, we work it down. Yeah. So wonderful. Okay, devotees. Well, to the hour, we are at the top of the hour now. So thank you, devotees, for coming on, and have a wonderful Krishna conscious week. There's so many activities getting ready to come on. There's Julian Yatra coming on. There's so many other things. Janmashtami is not far away. Balaram Jayanti is not far away. So many. So make sure you it's part of our ways of doing devotion service. The 64 principles. One of them says you need to be around for these, festivals, for these special days. You need to attend it. Very important. So in your temple, please go. And of course, you have your regular Sunday program also, which you should honor. And the everyday program here on the Zoom, that's also very necessary. So thank you, dear devotees. Have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. And Sean is saying thank you for heartening and enlightening lecture. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will second it, the way they have the heart emojis coming up. Okay, dear devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhivya eva cha patitānaṁ Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.